Hey, everyone, and welcome to literally the Tim and Jim show. Hey, Jim Fuse.
Literally. Speaking of literal, what an exciting day, Tim Sohn. The book
It is
is out.
exciting.
Ross Brand's third volume of 100 live streaming and digital media predictions is out. I just bought it on Amazon. We'll make sure to share the link with everyone so you can get it too. And deeply honored that me and Chris got to write the forward. And of course, I learned something in grammar. I'm going to admit it right now. I spelt forward wrong at first
Did
when
you
I was
spell it
posting it.
backwards?
No, I spelt it Forward, but it's actually forward, Foreword.
Oh,
So the
so you guys learned
grammar
something
people got
already.
me.
Oh, well, I mean, there you go. There you go.
Something you don't think about, but yeah. So I thought, yeah, because when you go forward is movement, but
Right.
what do I
Well,
know?
congratulations to you and Chris for writing the forward, not the backward.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we
That's
wrote the
awesome.
forward, not
I'm
the
happy for you
backward,
guys.
and so pretty exciting. But yeah, but it kind of is a nice segue into what we're going to talk about today, which is we're going to be going to Podfest in Orlando, Florida next week. So it'll be a little bit warmer, hopefully, than it is because even here
Hopefully.
today it's cold. Are you?
Yeah.
And I hear you're coming. Is that true?
It's true. I'm coming. Yeah, it's kind of a pretty last minute decision, but I am coming, Jim Fuse. We're gonna see each other.
And you know who else we're going to see there?
Who else?
Our friends from StreamYard are going to
Yes,
be
I saw they're doing a
one of
meetup.
the.
I
They're
signed
going to
up
have a
for it.
meetup. They're going to have a booth. So if you're a podcaster, you can learn about how StreamYard, like right now, while Tim and I are recording this show, we're getting not only individual audio tracks, but individual video tracks. So if you're looking at
Yes.
repurposing, StreamYard has definitely is changing the game, because they've been doing the live streaming for a long time. They had added the video a while back. I mean, the audio, but now
Right.
we get the magic of individual video. So I can take this and I should, Tim, right? You probably need to start harassing me,
I
and
should nudge
turn these
you.
into
I should nudge
vertical
you.
videos of little short things of when, Tim says something amazing. So Tim, I'm going to
Jim.
ask you a question first.
Okay.
What made you decide to consider going to Podfest?
That's a really good question, Jim. So, well, as you know, I've been going to the social media marketing world for a number of years. And then I decided not to go this year, not because it's not an amazing conference, and it's actually their 10th year this year,
Yes.
but just financially things didn't go great last year. But then recently I got a part-time job doing marketing for this hospitality company. And so things have started to pick up financially lately. And then I knew Podfest was coming up, and I thought Podfest would be an opportunity for me to meet some new people in the industry and learn some new things. And but mostly just attend a different event, and have a new experience in a new place and that kind of thing. Jim Fuse, why are you've been to Podfest before and done some amazing
Yes.
things there? Why are you going back to Podfest?
Well, several reasons. So I got to meet the founder of Podfest, Chris Kremitzos, in person here in Atlanta at a meetup. Ironically, right before the world changed as we knew it. So we
Wow.
went to Social Media Marketing World in 2019. Podfest was the following weekend in Orlando, but I was like, it's just too close of, back to back things. So a lot of times, one of the jokes is that Podfest may have been the last conference on earth before everything went sideways.
Mm.
And Chris Stone went to it. I know Ross Brand, Eddie Garrison, who will all be there, were there as well. And so I met Chris great guy. He lives in Tampa, but he does a lot of stuff in Orlando. So he's been running this Podfest community for a while. So then he started doing these things virtually during COVID, and I got to speak. I spoke about Twitter. So I applied to speak was one of the things that happened, and then of course, Chris and I in 2020 started the Amazon show, and then Chris
Yes.
was one of our first guests, and we talked about it, and he was so blown away. These are his words, not ours, by what we were doing on Amazon. He's like, I want you guys to speak at my conference about Amazon. So we started doing that.
Awesome.
We've spoke pretty much just about every time he's had a conference since then. And then last May, which was the first time they'd been in person, like fully in like forever, we did a full day, not just me and Chris talking, but we brought in a bunch of speakers about the Amazon influencer program. And so we're coming back again, but this time it's just going to be a panel, just right. And it's going to be me, Chris Stone, Jeff C., and Ross Brand talking about how you can turn your Amazon live show into a podcast, or turn your
Oh,
podcast into an Amazon live show. So we're excited to talk about that because that's something that we've all been successful at doing. But they also, and then another thing, because we've been very involved with the Podfest community, Chris and I are now what's called Podfest ambassadors. So Tim, if you need anything, come find me and I will help you out. That's part of my role as a Podfest ambassador. But I'm like you as well in that I love social media marketing world and the people there. But it's just not going to work out this year for me either. So I'm not going to be able to make it. Great to see Stefan and Nancy. Nancy will, I know, also be at Podfest with Brian Schulman. So excited to see that.
yeah. They're on a
And
panel about LinkedIn, as well as Rachel Druckenmiller is on the panel,
yes,
and I believe three other people. So excited to
nice.
hear them. And they're also hosting a networking event at the Atrium. I believe it's on Thursday at 5 p.m.
Hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Nancy. But excited for those events as well as
Yeah,
many
so
others.
yeah, so we're speaking on Friday, and I may be doing some moderation on Saturday, but I think the plan right now
Awesome.
is to get there Wednesday evening. Um, so yeah, I think for me, because right, not a volunteer like we've been, and not having a full day like we did in May, I definitely plan to do more networking, more seeing people, and I think not only our friends from StreamYard, but I think there'll be some of the tech companies there. I know Focusrite is usually there. Shure has been there as well in the past. Unfortunately, I know Laura Davidson from Shure can't make it this year. Hoping and my friends from Heil will be there as well. So, you get to meet these microphone companies. You get to meet all these different companies that are doing stuff in the podcast space. Oh yeah, not to forget, don't you definitely want to meet Alex Sanfilippo from Podmatch. Podmatch is an amazing product. I don't know if you've heard of it, Tim, but what Podmatch does, and it does have a subscription. If you want to be a guest on podcast, you can set yourself up a profile. And if
Yes.
you host a podcast, you can also like look for guests. And so it kind of helps each other vet each other because you put a lot of
Yeah.
information out there. But it kind of gives a central place for everyone to kind of start that process. And I really think he's done an amazing job with that. And we'll see that. And so yeah, so let's see. Nancy's like, yeah, join the panel Friday the 27th. Wow, that's a powerful panel there. You have to see because I don't, because I will say one of the things, just like social media marketing world, you have multiple sessions going on at the same time. And so I
Right.
haven't seen the full schedule yet, but we'll definitely keep an eye out for that. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
so it's definitely uh, worthwhile if you're a podcaster. I mean, the other one for people to consider And it's funny, right? Because this is an East Coast thing, right? We actually have something on the East Coast, Tim. We'll
Right?
have to, I'm actually able to drive to it, kind of like Lima,
Wow.
which is in June. Don't forget about Social Media Week Lima.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that one again.
But I would also say that consider if you want to go to Denver, Podcast Movement. I went to it last year, as you remember. We did a live stream while I was walking around the floor of it.
Yeah.
That was a really good what we want to call it, convention. Is that the right word? Conference. I don't know why I want to say convention. That sounds so weird. Yeah, Nancy, it's Alex Sanfilippo is the Podmatch guy. She was just asking who the Podmatch guy is, and so he is the man. And Chris and I actually interviewed him on Amazon, and so we did a podcast episode with that as well. And yeah, Nancy, I hope you can make it to Marketing World. Like Tim said, unfortunately, we will not be there in person. I think
Yeah.
Tim is planning to volunteer. I still haven't made a final decision on it because I was maybe going to do the same thing as you. I'm just not sure if it'll work into my schedule or not.
Yeah, I'm going to volunteer on the virtual live streaming team.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I'm
But
excited
yeah,
to still be able to do that.
Podfest, I very much feel is like it's a family, if that makes sense. Like it's a really
Yeah.
tight community. Everyone is really supportive of each other, and Chris Krimitsos goes out of his way to make it that way. I mean, he's an amazing guy. In fact, he had what they did prior to this one was they had meetups in several different cities and even in Canada, but he didn't necessarily go. He had sent some, but he had a meetup here in Atlanta. We had several of us there. Roberto Blake was there, several other folks. Because it's funny, you don't realize all the people that live here in Atlanta that are creators, and the only time we see each other is when we go to conferences. So it's kind of funny.
Right.
And then also you have you had meetups, I think, in Texas and Orlando, New York. So it was really really amazing what they did ahead of this upcoming event. And yeah, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, so it's funny because they did the last one. It was Memorial Day weekend. I think that made it tough, but now that they've moved it to January for this year, maybe more people will want to come just because one, they can get warm.
Right.
At least that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it's warm at next week because I could use some warm weather after all this.
It's freezing here.
Yes. Oh yeah, I bet it is. Let's see. What does my watch say? My watch says it's it's really gotten hot here today. It's up to 58 degrees.
Ooh, heat wave.
Time to break out the sunscreen. But
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tim, aside from meeting people, what are some of your goals in regards to Podfest? Are you thinking about starting a podcast potentially?
One thing I really want to do is one of my goals for showing up perspectives on cancer. And I know we want to do that here on the Tim and Jim show too, is create a podcast out of our show. So that's something I want to do. And just learn how to grow the audience of the shows as well. Different ways to do that. So just in terms of learning things, that's one of my goals in terms of learning is how to grow the audience, whether it's live or whether it's creating a podcast out of the show or other ways that I'm just not knowledgeable about yet. That's one of my goals. What about you, Jim?
Yeah, I think for me, some of it is about networking. Like I know Chris and I plan to meet with Roger Cloud, who is actually the guy that owns the Cloud Lifter company, which you may be familiar with. They actually make microphones too, but a lot of times people think of the Cloud Lifter as that piece of equipment that people use with their SM7B to lift up the gain. So Chris K introduced us to him, and so we're looking forward to meeting him in person. He will be there. So yeah, I like getting to know what these companies do. You're going to see a lot of uh, I don't know how many, but you have companies as an example that there's these podcast networks, and they're you know people are looking to monetize their podcast, and so it's interesting because I think sometimes it's like you kind of got to have listeners and good content first, I think,
Right.
before making money. And I think sometimes people are like, well, how do I make money? I just started a podcast, and it's like I don't know that it always works that way unless you're just a unicorn. Does that make sense? Or screaming goat.
Did you just say screaming goat, Jim
I
Fuse?
said screaming goat, Tim, just for you. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And Nancy Barrows is sitting in her car at the parking lot at work. Breaking news.
Oh my gosh. That's too funny. Well, be careful.
Yes.
Hopefully it's you got your air conditioning on. But Southern
Yeah.
California, and maybe it's that way where you are, Nancy, has had some crazy weather.
Yeah.
I know my daughter in San Diego has been in uh, you know, at least it's been rainy in San Diego, but not like the weather they're having up like in Oakland, and they're got roads collapsing, flash flooding. It's been just really bad. And then my brother in Nevada, he's in Reno near Lake Tahoe, is they're getting like tons of snow um,
Mm.
because of all this weather. So it's been a little bit crazy. But then I heard an interesting stat. Maybe we can create a podcast about it called "It Didn't Snow in New York Yet," but it hasn't snowed in New York in like a record amount of time. Like I guess the city.
Whoa.
Does that make sense?
It does make
Because
sense.
you've had snow, right?
Yeah, we've had a few snowstorms, yeah.
But they were talking about it's been like quite a bit of time since they've had snow. Where normally by now they've had at least one snowfall. So who knows? Just can't predict the weather. It's crazy, crazy, crazy.
Yeah,
And
the weather's definitely been weird this year.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think you bring up some great points. It's kind of like ABB, always be branding, also ABL, always be learning.
Oh,
And so I think
definitely.
you bring a great point up is that hey, how can you get more engagement with the show? How can you grow your audience? What are those things you need to do? And you know, I think sometimes too we know what we need to do, but do we do it? Right? I
Right.
think those are some of the things that we have to consider. I mean, you and I both, right? You've worked on you keep we both have been changing our background, what you see behind us, but also I know we both have been changing how things look in front of us, right? Like I've seen now that you have a boom arm and got your microphone on that, and that's not something that I don't think you always had, did you?
No, I've had it for a while. You just didn't see it before.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah,
okay. It's okay, Tim. You can see my boom arm.
that's true. Yes. Yeah, you just didn't see it.
Yes.
Um,
And
but the,
you're talking on the wonderful Samson Q2U, are you not?
it is the Q2U. You used to use that as well, right?
I still have it, and it's still I actually use it on my other computer, on my
Okay.
for Zoom calls.
Okay.
Yeah, so I definitely think it's definitely a great, and I tell a lot of people, like, if you're on a budget, that is the microphone to start with over several others, I would say, because right, it can grow with you. Like, are you using it USB or are you using it XLR?
I'm using the USB right now.
Yeah, so Tim doesn't even need a sound interface, and he sounds amazing. So if he were to go buy an interface, he could use the XLR and not have to get a new microphone. So I think that's one of the really nice things about it, that it allows you to do that. And I'm going to be bringing a new toy, Tim. That's all
Ooh, what are
Doc
you
Rock's
bringing,
fault.
Jim?
I bought one of those Insta 360 cameras.
An Insta 360 camera.
Yes, and so as an example, I this is the small tripod I have. You can put it on here, and when you hold it up, let me make sure I don't hurt myself. So this thing here, you put the camera on the end of it, and you can hold it up like a selfie stick, and it records, and the stick is invisible.
Oh, wow.
So, and then you can go edit the video in post to show just the part you want to show. So like Doc was talking about, I could have it on right here, and, just, even though it would show everything, I could make it later so it's just showing me. And then I have another one that I got to go along with it that is 9.8 feet. So it's almost like having a drone.
Wow.
And so those are a couple toys I'll be bringing to
Awesome.
to Podfest to make some hopefully some fun videos. We'll see what happens.
That's awesome.
Mess it up. But yeah, Doc says it's the best camera that he's had, and because it'll take pictures too. And you can control it off of the app on your phone. Because you're probably like, well, how do you control the camera when it's the end of a 9-foot stick? So I'll plan to bring that to Podfest, and we can do some recordings of stuff. So that'll be interesting to see how that works. So creating content, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yes.
Now, do they have like a expo hall gym?
They do. They
tech
do.
vendors and
They
stuff
have an
like
expo hall with vendors, and then they have the breakout rooms as well. Yeah, so it should be good. Now, are you staying at the Renaissance, or are you staying at a different location?
I'm staying at a different location.
This undisclosed. And you know who else might be there, or says he's going to be there?
Who?
Chad Peterson. Yes.
Oh, that'll be fun.
The Chad will be there. Julie Riley will be there. Joanna Watts, or Joanne Watts, I should say, from StreamYard. So the StreamYard team will be there. Excited to see them.
I saw they're doing a meetup.
Yes. So we'll meet up with them.
Yes.
That's an interesting phrase, isn't it? Meet up.
Meet up.
Supposed to just
as opposed to meeting down.
Yeah. And so so I should share this before we forget. So folks, if you haven't got the chance yet, it's now available in all its glory. And if you bring your book next week, you can get some autographs from people that are actually in the book, because quite a few people there. So there's the link from Amazon of the newest release, the 100 Live Streaming and Digital Media Predictions, Volume 3. Are you in there, Tim?
I'm in there.
I thought you were. No, you were in there last time. So
yeah.
So do you remember what your prediction was? Or do they have to? Or do people need to read the book to find out?
Yes, they have to read the book.
There you go.
And I have to read the book as well.
You know what? Well, I think I'm going to get the Kindle version too, because I can't wait to read it.
Yes.
Let's see. Yes. So so that's so the book is out. So definitely go get the book. What else do you think, Tim, is some of the things that you hope to learn from Podfest?
Just whatever I can learn, I guess. I mean, nothing really specifically, I guess. I still have to go through the schedule and see all the different sessions and pick out what I want to go
now
to.
They do have a kind of a piece, they call it VidFest. It's part of Podfest. So there are going to definitely be people talking about video stuff. So it's not completely podcasting. And I think that's one of those things that people don't always realize. I don't know if I'm like you. I got to go through the schedule. I know I think Roberto will be there again. He's a really good speaker. So look forward to seeing him. And then, like I said, Ross is having a meetup for all the book people as well. So make sure
I saw that.
Jump on there. And one of the things that they do, and I don't know if they're going to go back to it with Social Media Marketing World, but I really liked it for networking and events, is the Hoova app.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yes, and so I think that's great for connecting with people, for setting up media meetups, and you have, vendors are able to do stuff. In fact, shout out to, Gina Carr and, Terry Brock. They're going to be, sponsoring, I think, under, one of the things that they do. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but she does some stuff with video as well, and so they're gonna be there, and they live in Orlando, so and as does Eddie Garrison. Have you met Eddie in
Oh
person yet?
yeah. No, I'm excited to meet him for the first
Yeah,
time.
so you will get to meet him for the first time. Yeah, because I saw Eddie there, and then I got to see him at People of Video. So yeah, I've actually now seen Eddie a couple times, so that's been nice as well.
Cool.
Yes. And so, yes, I guess when are you leaving, Tim, for Orlando?
Yeah, so I'm arriving on leaving and arriving on Wednesday. I can't remember what time, but what about you?
Well, I was gonna leave on Wednesday, but I'm wondering if we might have to, maybe what we'll do is do the show from there on Thursday or Friday, because if we're both
Right.
traveling,
Yeah.
that might make it tough, especially for you, because I don't know what time you're leaving at. But,
Yeah, I'll probably be traveling or in the car or somewhere.
so maybe what we'll do is we'll do the show live from
Yeah,
Podfest.
that'd be
We
fun.
can find a spot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so folks, you heard it here. We're gonna
Breaking
live from
news.
Podfest. So it won't be on Wednesday. Let's do it Thursday. I think Thursday would
Yeah,
work. So we'll come
let's do
up with
it.
a time on Thursday, find a location, and bring some folks by to say hi. So that'll be fun. Because we've
Yeah,
talked
for
about
sure.
doing a show with, well, we have done it before. We've done it in San Diego where we're both
Yeah,
in person
together.
together. Together.
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe I'll bring my goat.
Oh no, not the goat.
Live with Gary the goat and Jim
Yes.
and Tim.
All right. Well,
Okay.
Tim, I think I think we've given a pretty good teaser of what people can expect at Podfest, and
Yeah.
so we'll be live from Podfest next week. Maybe we can get the StreamYard people to come on and say hello.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And
Yeah.
thanks to Nancy for stopping by. And I saw Stefan was here. Thanks for
Yes.
stopping by, Stefan, and anybody else who stops by on the replay.
That's
Thanks for
right.
being
That's
here.
right.
We appreciate
And
it.
and if you're not going to Podfest this year, definitely get it on your calendar. They've got a great Facebook group as well for people to connect with, and just have fun, everybody, and stay warm. And
Yes.
are you rooting for the Bills, Tim?
I'm rooting for the goats.
The goats, the screaming goats. All right,
Yes.
everyone. Thank you as always for joining us, and we'll see you next week on the Tim and Jim Show.
Bye.
Bye bye.